Welcome to Lost in Revision. All of our content is public domain fairy tales and folklore. We are here to celebrate the original literature instead of just reading the modern sanitized versions. We post short segments of stories daily for people who just want a story to follow along with, and monthly full episodes where we read and discuss popular classics. Come and find us on Patreon to listen to the full chapters early and without interruption. Any support you can offer helps keep this podcast going and you entertained. All of our music is by Nathan Hubble and is used with his permission. Thanks, and enjoy the show.
Chapter 4. The Engine Burglar. Part 1. What was left of the second sheet and the Brunswick black came in very nicely to make a banner bearing the legend, "She is nearly well, thank you." And this was displayed to the Green Dragon about a fortnight after the arrival of the wonderful hamper. The old gentleman saw it and waved a cheerful response from the train. And when this had been done, the children saw that now was the time that they must tell Mother what they had done when she was ill. And it did not seem nearly so easy as they had thought it would be. But it had to be done. And it was done. Mother was extremely angry. She was seldom angry, and now she was angrier than they had ever known her. This was horrible. But it was much worse when she suddenly began to cry. Crying is catching, I believe, like measles and whooping cough. At any rate, everyone at once found itself taking part in a crying party. Mother stopped first. She dried her eyes, and then she said, "I'm sorry I was so angry, darlings, because I know you didn't understand." "We didn't mean to be naughty, Mummy," sobbed Bobby, and Peter and Phyllis sniffled. "Now listen," said Mother. "It's quite true that we're poor, but we have enough to live on. You mustn't go telling everyone about our affairs. It's not right. And you must never, never, never ask strangers to give you things. Now always remember that, won't you?" They all hugged her and rubbed their damp cheeks against hers and promised that they would. "And I'll write a letter to your old gentleman, and I shall tell him that I didn't approve. Oh, of course I shall thank him, too, for his kindness. It's you I don't approve of, my darlings, not the old gentleman. He was as kind as ever he could be, and you can give the letter to the station master to give him, and we won't say any more about it." Afterwards, when the children were alone, Bobby said, "Isn't Mother splendid? You catch any other grown-up saying they were sorry they had been angry." "Yes," said Peter, "she is splendid. But it's rather awful when she's angry." "She's like avenging and bright in the song," said Phyllis. "I should like to look at her if it wasn't so awful. She looks so beautiful when she's really downright furious." They took the letter down to the station master. "I thought you said you hadn't any friends except in London," said he. "We've made him since," said Peter. "But he doesn't live hereabouts." "No, we just know him on the railway." Then the station master retired to that sacred inner temple behind the little window where the tickets are sold, and the children went down to the porter's room and talked to the porter. They learned several interesting things from him, among others that his name was Perks, that he was married and had 3 children, that the lamps in front of the engines are called headlights, and the ones at the back tail lights. "And that just shows," whispered Phyllis, "that trains really are dragons in disguise, with proper heads and tails." It was on this day that the children first noticed that all engines are not alike. "Alike?" said the porter, whose name was Perks. "Lor love ya, no, miss. No more alike nor what you and me are. The little un without a tender as went by just now all on her own, that was a tank, that was. She's off to do some shunting t'other side of Maidbridge. That's as it might be, you miss. Then there's goods engines, great strong things with 3 wheels each side, joined with rods to strengthen 'em, as it might be me. Then there's mainline engines, as it might be this 'ere young gentleman when he grows up and wins all the races at his school, so he will. The mainline engine, she's built for speed as well as power. That's 1 to the 9:15 up." "The Green Dragon," said Phyllis. We calls her the Snail, miss, among ourselves," said the porter. "She's oftener behind nor any train on the line." "But the engine's green," said Phyllis. "Yes, miss," said Perks. "So's the Snail some seasons o' the year." The children agreed as they went home to dinner that the porter was most delightful company. Next day was Roberta's birthday. In the afternoon she was politely but firmly requested to get out of the way and keep there till tea-time. "You aren't to see what we're going to do till it's done. It's a glorious surprise," said Phyllis. And Roberta went out into the garden all alone. She tried to be grateful, but she felt she would much rather have helped in whatever it was than to have to spend her birthday afternoon by herself, no matter how glorious the surprise might be. Now that she was alone, she had time to think, and one of the things she thought of most was what Mother had said in one of those feverish nights when her hands were so hot and her eyes were so bright. The words were, "Oh, what a doctor's bill there'll be for this." She walked round and round the garden among the rose bushes that hadn't any roses yet, only buds, and the lilac bushes and syringas. She walked round and round the garden among the rose bushes that hadn't any roses yet, only buds, and the lilac bushes and syringas and American currants, and the more she thought of the doctor's bill, the less she liked the thought of it. And presently she made up her mind. She went out through the side door of the garden and climbed up the steep field to where the road runs along by the canal. She walked along until she came to the bridge that crosses the canal and leads to the village, and here she waited. It was very pleasant in the sunshine to lean one's elbows on the warm stone of the bridge and look down at the blue water of the canal. Bobby had never seen any other canal except the Regent's Canal, and the water of that is not at all a pretty color. And she had never seen any river at all except the Thames, which also would be all the better if its face was washed.
Thank you for joining us today. I would like to thank all of our supporters on Patreon. Your support helps pay for all of the things that podcasting requires and helps keep this show alive and growing. Feel free to fact check us and offer suggestions to make our show better for you. You can send us an email at lostinrevisionpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow and give us a good review anywhere you listen, and share with your friends and family.
There's a lot more waiting for us all at the end of the road.